Have you ever felt like there's something off in your home? Like no matter how much you pray, how much you clean, there's this heaviness that just won't go away. Have you noticed that certain objects seem to carry an energy that doesn't belong? That some symbols, some decorations, create a tension you can't quite explain? Brothers and sisters, what I'm about to share with you today isn't just another lesson. This is something Padre Pio himself warned about with startling seriousness, something that exorcists have been documenting for centuries, and something that very few Catholics actually know. There are three animals that should never be represented, invoked, or used as symbols inside a Christian home. Not because the animals themselves are evil, but because for centuries these creatures have been used as masks by the enemy to open doors that should remain closed. If you believe in Padre Pio's wisdom and want protection for your home, write in the comments, "Padre Pio, guard my home." Your words matter more than you think. Now, what makes this so critical is Padre Pio's gift. He could see the invisible world with a clarity that few saints in history ever possessed. And he spoke openly about how the devil disguised himself through animal forms, not because God's creatures were bad, but because the enemy used them as camouflage to act without being noticed. What Padre Pio revealed has been carefully studied by priests, mystics, and demonologists. And today I'm going to tell you what most Catholics have never heard. These three animals have been employed for centuries in pagan rituals, occult practices, and esoteric ceremonies. And when they enter a home as symbols, images, or decorations, they become breach points. This isn't superstition. This isn't fear-mongering. This is discernment rooted in centuries of warfare and the direct teachings of a saint who battled the devil face to face every single day of his life. Let me start with something Padre Pio said that should shake every believer to their core. He once told a follower with unsettling clarity, "The devil disguises himself as whatever inspires fear or fascination in man. He presents himself as a creature, a shadow, a figure, but he never shows his true face." Think about that for a second. The enemy doesn't walk around announcing himself. He doesn't knock on your door with horns and a pitchfork. He slips in through the cracks, through the things we invite without thinking, through symbols we place on our shelves because they look interesting, mysterious, or powerful. And this is where it gets dangerous. We're not talking about actual animals roaming around your house. God created every living creature, and they all have their place in his design. A snake in the garden is just a snake. A bat in the night sky is doing exactly what God intended. We're talking about something far more insidious. Representations, symbols, images, amulets, talismans, decorative figures that depict these creatures and carry meanings that were twisted by centuries of occult use. Many people bring these objects into their homes thinking they attract good energy, protection, wisdom, or power. They see a statue, a painting, a piece of jewelry, and think it's just art, just decoration, just something cool. But exorcists will tell you something most people never consider. Objects carry language. Every symbol communicates something. And when that symbol has been used for generations in rituals designed to reject God, manipulate forces, or invite confusion, it doesn't matter if you didn't know. The door still cracks open. Padre Pio understood this better than almost anyone. He saw how the demonic realm operates, how it takes what God made good and corrupts it into a tool of deception. The enemy is an opportunist. He doesn't need a formal invitation. He just needs a shadow, a crack, a moment of carelessness. And these three animals, when used symbolically, have become his favorite disguises throughout history. Now, before I reveal which three animals these are, you need to understand something crucial. This isn't about living in fear. This isn't about seeing demons everywhere or becoming paranoid about every object in your house. This is about maturity. This is about recognizing that our homes are sacred spaces, little domestic churches, and what we allow inside them matters. Every crucifix speaks, every holy image prays, and every corrupted symbol whispers something that doesn't come from heaven. The 3 animals I'm about to reveal have been documented in exorcism cases, direction sessions, and deliverance ministries across the world. They're not folklore. They're not legends passed down by superstitious grandmothers. They're real patterns observed by priests who've spent decades in warfare, and they all trace back to warnings that Padre Pio gave to those closest to him. The first animal is the serpent, and if you know your Bible, you already know why this one sits at the top of the list. From the very beginning, in the Garden of Eden, the serpent was the mask the enemy chose to bring confusion, temptation, and lies into God's perfect creation. It wasn't the snake's fault. God made serpents, and they're part of his design. But the devil took that form and used it to plant the first seed of doubt in humanity's heart, and he's been using it ever since. Most people don't realize this. Walk into any store selling New Age products, esoteric items, or alternative goods, and you'll see them everywhere. Serpents coiled around staffs, serpents forming infinity symbols, serpents with wings, serpents wrapped around crystals. They're sold as symbols of transformation, enlightenment, inner power, kundalini energy, ancient wisdom. The marketing is brilliant, but the reality is dangerous. Exorcists have shared countless testimonies about homes where people practiced Reiki, astrology, tarot readings, or so-called white magic. And in almost every case, the predominant symbol somewhere in that house was a serpent. It might have been a small figurine on a shelf, a pendant hanging on the wall, a decorative piece bought at a flea market. The person didn't think twice about it, but that object became an anchor point for confusion and oppression. Padre Pio was crystal clear about this. He said that when serpents appear persistently in dreams, in artwork around the house, or in symbolic forms, it's a sign of nearby confusion or temptation taking root. It's the enemy's calling card. He's announcing his presence through a symbol that's been his trademark since the dawn of time. Now listen carefully, because this is where people get defensive. Nobody's saying you can't study biology or appreciate wildlife. A photograph of a snake in a nature documentary isn't going to open a portal to hell. We're talking about serpents used in contexts tied to esoteric practices. Serpents marketed as tools for awakening or energy work. Those are the ones that need to go. If you've got a decorative serpent statue that came from a yoga studio, a metaphysical shop, or was given to you by someone involved in alternative practices, you need to remove it. If there's artwork in your home depicting serpents in mystical or ritualistic contexts, it doesn't belong there. Replace it with a crucifix. Hang an image of Mary. Put up a Saint Benedict medal. Fill that space with light, not with a symbol the devil has been using for thousands of years. The serpent isn't evil as a creature, but its symbolic use has been hijacked by forces that oppose Christ. And when you bring that symbol into your home, you're speaking a language you might not even understand, but the enemy does, and he listens. You know, as I'm sharing this with you, I'm reminded of what Padre Pio always emphasized: prayer is our greatest weapon. When we clear our homes of these symbols, we can't just leave empty spaces. We need to fill them with devotion, with the weapons heaven has given us. One of the most powerful weapons Padre Pio ever used was the rosary. That's why we put together something that might help you on this journey. It's called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio. Miracles, protection, and divine graces. It'll help you learn to pray the rosary with deeper devotion, discover testimonies of those who've experienced its power, and understand Padre Pio's teachings about prayer. There's a 30-day guide with daily intentions, plus prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The rosary was Padre Pio's greatest weapon. If you'd like to explore this further, there's a link pinned in the comments. Now let's talk about the second animal, because this one catches a lot of people by surprise. The second animal is the bat. And this one's tricky because most people think it's harmless, just something associated with Halloween or Gothic aesthetics. But history tells us something different. For centuries, bats have been deeply connected to occultism, witchcraft rituals, and divination practices. During the Middle Ages, the bat was one of the most frequently used animals in invocation ceremonies precisely because of its relationship with darkness and its ability to move silently through the night. It became a symbol of hidden knowledge, shadow work, and communication with spirits. Fast forward to today, and you'll find bat imagery everywhere. People decorate their homes with bat figures because of movies, because of trends, because it looks edgy or mysterious. There are entire aesthetic movements built around bats as symbols of mystical protection or energetic guardians. And most folks hanging these decorations have absolutely no idea what they're actually inviting. Contemporary exorcists have found objects shaped like bats that were consecrated in pagan rituals specifically to plant fear, depression, mental confusion, and nightmares in whoever lives in that house. We're not talking about a random Halloween decoration your kid made in art class. We're talking about intentionally crafted items, statues purchased from occult shops, artwork tied to dark practices, symbols that carry weight because of how they've been used. Padre Pio warned that the enemy moves easily in environments where there's darkness and where symbols associated with fear or chaos are venerated. The bat, in nature, is just part of God's balance. But when it's used symbolically, when it's elevated as a totem or icon, it becomes loaded with meanings that run contrary to faith. One priest shared a testimony that stuck with me. A young woman came to him complaining about constant nightmares, overwhelming anxiety, and a feeling like something was watching her while she slept. They prayed together, talked through her life, and nothing seemed out of place until he visited her apartment. Above her bed hung a large metal sculpture of a bat with spread wings, something she'd bought at a vintage market because she thought it looked cool. The priest blessed the room, had her remove the bat, and within 3 days the nightmares stopped completely. She slept peacefully for the first time in months. Was the bat itself cursed? Maybe, maybe not. But it was a symbol that had become an access point, a piece of vocabulary in a language the enemy speaks fluently. And once it was removed, once that communication line was cut, peace returned. So if you've got bat decorations in your home that were bought from shops tied to alternative practices, that came from someone involved in occult activities, or that give you an uneasy feeling you can't explain, get rid of them. You don't need to be afraid, but you do need to be wise. Your home should reflect light, not symbols the darkness has claimed as its own. The third animal is the goat, and specifically, we're talking about the black goat represented in ritual postures or with esoteric elements. This symbol has been used by satanic and occult groups for centuries as a direct mockery of the Lamb of God. Think about that. Where Christ is the pure Lamb who takes away the sins of the world, the enemy presents himself as the goat. It's a deliberate inversion, a twisted imitation designed to blaspheme everything holy. The figure of the goat, especially with prominent or inverted horns, has become an emblem of rebellion, rejection of light, and glorification of evil. It shows up in album covers, in fashion, in art movements that celebrate darkness, and a lot of young people bring these symbols into their rooms without having any clue what they actually represent. Exorcists have reported multiple cases of teenagers who, because of fashion trends, Gothic decoration, or aesthetic fascination, placed goat figures in their bedrooms without realizing they were exact replicas of symbols used in rituals of consecration to the enemy. These weren't random decorations. They were statements, objects speaking a language these kids didn't even know existed. Padre Pio said something chilling about this. He told his followers, "Where Christ is the lamb, the devil presents himself as the goat." It's his signature move, taking what's sacred and creating a corrupted mirror image. Any object that represents this symbol, whether it's sculptures, paintings, posters, or amulets, needs to be removed immediately from a Christian home. There are Catholic families right now dealing with constant fighting, unexplained anger, kids acting out, marriages falling apart, and they're praying, going to Mass, doing everything right. But nobody's thought to look at what's hanging on the walls or sitting on the shelves. There's a band poster with goat imagery. There's a decorative piece bought at a thrift store. There's jewelry with esoteric symbols. And those objects are broadcasting on a frequency that invites interference. The goat, as an animal in a field, is innocent. God made goats, and they're good creatures. But when that image is stylized, ritualized, and placed in a context that mocks Christ, it stops being neutral. It becomes a sign of allegiance, even if that allegiance was given accidentally, ignorantly, without any ill intent. Remove it. Don't keep it because it was expensive. Don't hold on to it because it was a gift. Don't rationalize it because you don't want to seem superstitious. If it represents the goat in an esoteric, satanic, or ritualistic way, it has no place in your home. Replace it with a crucifix. Put up an image of the Sacred Heart. Hang a rosary. Speak a different language in your house, one that belongs to heaven. So many Catholics dealing with insomnia, constant anxiety, non-stop arguments at home, extreme exhaustion, or this crushing sense of oppression never imagined that the root might be in objects they picked up on impulse, because of trends, for decoration, or out of plain ignorance. It's not the real animals causing problems. They're part of God's creation, and they're doing exactly what they were designed to do. It's the ritual use, the symbolic meaning, the esoteric application that opens cracks. When these symbols get placed inside a house, they install a language that doesn't belong to Christ, and the enemy is fluent in that language. Padre Pio used to repeat this: "The devil clings where he finds shadow, fear, or confusion." And these three animals are exactly that. Symbols that, outside their natural context, have become tools of deception. If someone has serpent figures used in New Age practices, decorative bats tied to rituals of darkness, or stylized goats with esoteric meaning in their home, those need to go. Replace them with signs of light, a crucifix, a Marian image, a Saint Benedict medal, or simply a blessed candle. What's truly remarkable is what priests who've performed liberations have witnessed. Many homes experience immediate peace after removing objects with these symbols. The atmosphere shifts, sleep improves, arguments decrease. A deep silence of God becomes present. Not because the object had some magical power, but because it stopped serving as a connection point to environments contrary to faith. There's a testimony from a priest that really drives this home. A family came to him desperate. Their home felt oppressive. Their teenage son was having violent outbursts. Nobody could sleep through the night. The priest came to bless the house and immediately noticed three things: a decorative serpent staff in the living room, bought at an import store, a set of bat figurines on the mantel, and in the son's room, a large poster featuring goat imagery from a metal band. The family removed all three items that same day. The priest performed a blessing, and within a week, everything changed. The son calmed down. The parents started sleeping. The house felt like home again. Coincidence? The priest didn't think so, and neither did Padre Pio, who spent his entire life warning people that warfare happens in the details, in the small choices, in what we allow to speak inside our homes. Padre Pio's final warning remains urgent today. The devil enters where he's permitted, even through a shadow. That's why every Christian must watch what enters their home, not with fear, but with discernment. The home is a sanctuary. Every object speaks, every symbol communicates something. And if the enemy has used the serpent, the bat, and the goat for centuries to plant confusion, it's the believer's responsibility to close those doors with wisdom, prayer, and light. These three animals should not be represented inside a Christian home when their meaning has been distorted by occultism. When the symbol is removed, light returns. And when light enters, nothing of darkness can remain. Brothers and sisters, if this message has touched your heart, if you feel like God used these words to open your eyes to something you needed to see, I want to ask you for something important. We're building more than just a channel here. We're building a community of faith, a family united by the teachings of Padre Pio and the desire to live closer to Christ every single day. Your support means everything. When you hit that like button, you're helping this message reach someone who desperately needs to hear it. When you share this video, you're becoming a missionary of truth in a world drowning in confusion. And when you subscribe and become a member of this channel, you're joining a mission to spread the wisdom of the saints to every corner of the earth. We need you. This isn't just about numbers or algorithms. This is about souls, about families, about homes being protected and hearts being transformed. So please, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to this channel. Together, we're spreading the light of Padre Pio's teachings, and that light is changing lives. Let me leave you with this final thought. Your home isn't just a building with walls and furniture. It's a sacred space, a little domestic church where God wants to dwell. Every choice you make about what enters that space matters more than you might realize. Padre Pio knew this deeply. He understood that warfare isn't just fought in dramatic moments of exorcism or deliverance. It's fought in the quiet decisions, in the discernment we exercise over what we allow into our lives, into our homes, into our families. The serpent, the bat, the goat, when twisted by centuries of occult use, they become the enemy's vocabulary. But you have the power to speak a different language. You can fill your home with crucifixes, holy images, blessed objects that declare whose side you're on. This isn't about living in fear. This is about living in freedom. The freedom that comes from knowing you've closed the doors the enemy tries to slip through. This is about creating a home where peace reigns, where God's presence is unmistakable, where your family can rest without interference. If these teachings have opened your eyes, if you're seeing things differently now, write "thank you" in the comments. Your gratitude helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. And don't keep this to yourself. Share it with your family, your friends, anyone who needs this wisdom right now. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. We're a community walking together, learning together, growing stronger in faith together. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, and stay connected. There's so much more Padre Pio has to teach us, so many more truths that need to be shared. May God bless your home. May His light shine in every corner. And may the intercession of Padre Pio keep you and your family protected always.